Hi, this is Christopher Spera, and this is the iTechGear Weekly, episode number 142. Again, sort of. Recorded live Sunday, August 17th, 2025, live from iTechGear Central. As I said, I'm Christopher Spera. This is the iTechGear Weekly, and we have the usual suspects.
All of us.
All of which is unusual because
we have Randall.
I was expecting to be without the Dulcet
We do.
tonight.
All right,
I truly was. That's of course
I managed to pull it off. So there we go.
Thank you. That's what she said.
We're glad you're here.
and Randall's here too.
Thank you. And that, of course, is the editor over at iTechGear and the former contributing editor over at Gear Diary and the late great Pocket. Now it's Mr. Chris Gavula. How are you, sir?
I'm good. I'm good. A little tired this weekend. Just finished a major work project over the weekend, and
congratulations.
Ready for the next one. I guess it starts almost right away. So there you go.
Joy.
You know. But Randall says we're good. So,
Randall says we're good, and we can start according to him.
According to Randall.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
For those who don't know, Randall is my white Persian cat.
Yes.
And he's sitting on my lap, and I feel like Dr. Evil. I stroke the cat. So, there you go.
Fabulous. And of course, we've also got here with us today the editor from iTechGear and the former contributing writer over at Gear Diary and currently the host of the Linux Ling Tech Show and Living in the Retro Arcade podcast. And Joel, what's the name of the latest one?
Fitness for the Rest of Us.
Fitness
which
for
I'll
the Rest
probably
of Us.
Probably record my Mammoth March Victory number 2 show after this one.
That is brother Joe McLaughlin.
Awesome.
So, yes.
Glad to have you, sir. You're looking fit and trim.
Hope so.
Yeah. And last but never ever least, we have, of course, the editor at iTechGear and the former co-owner of WUGNET Publications, Dr. Mr. Larry McJunkin. How are you, sir?
I'm fine. I've been batching it all week, and Brenda's on travel, but she's coming back tomorrow, so I got to start behaving.
Clean the house. Go clean up the house. Pick your
I know. Wash the dishes. All that stuff.
All of it.
Throw away those TV food trays.
Yes.
Yep.
So, and welcome back, Mrs. McJunkin, wherever you were. Thank you.
Playing golf.
Hey, that's good. You know what would probably be a really big help to Mrs. McJunkin is the fact that Apple has returned to us a feature that's been missing for the last little bit, right? Right, that her pulse ox is going to be back on the Apple Watch.
Yes, and as a person who has sleep apnea, it's much appreciated. Although I don't have an Apple Watch, but blood oxygen monitor returning the Apple Watch, sort of.
Sort of.
Yeah, sort of.
Sort of. There's
rolling
a
out
couple of
software
caveats.
updates. Yeah,
there's a couple of caveats here, and what are they, Joel?
Well, let's see. To get around the ban, the blood oxygen data collected on the watch will now be measured and calculated on the iPhone it's paired to. So it's instead of being able to read it right off the watch, it's gonna calculate it on the iPhone.
It's gonna read from the Apple Watch, right? It's gonna read from the watch.
Send the numbers to the iPhone for computation. The way I read it.
Well, it's a little bit more than just that, right? It's going to take that data from the Apple Watch. It's going to send it over to the watch. The watch is going to do the calculations.
No, to the phone.
I'm sorry. Thank you. Yes, it's going to go from the watch to the phone. Watch to the phone. The phone's going to do the calculations, and then it's going to stay there.
It's not sending it back to the watch.
It's not sending it back to the watch.
Oh, so you have to look at your phone.
You've got to go into Apple Health.
What's wrong with that? That's fine.
I mean, go to the health app to see.
But then you have to take. It's like not being able to listen to music on your watch, having to take the phone with you. You don't want to do that.
Right. No. See, Chris and I were talking about this earlier this week, and there are a couple things here. One, this seems a little bit ass backwards. All right.
Yeah.
If the lawyers are involved here.
Well,
yes, you can tell the lawyers are involved here.
Yes,
you can smell it from a distance.
Oh God, and it does reek, doesn't it? the fact that, I mean, it's taking the data, it's reading the data from your body through the watch, and it's going to Apple Health, and Apple Health is doing the calculations and maintaining the data. Now, while Apple Health previously did store and maintain um, the aggregate of all of the readings that you took. All right, the day's readings were taken, displayed on the watch previously, and stayed there. And then, if you wanted to see graphs or some history data, it would pull it from Apple Health on the phone and back over to the watch. I don't understand why. I think personally, if I'm taking it on the watch, I would like the data to come back to the watch.
That's what you'd like as a user, but that isn't necessarily legally what they can do here.
Well,
so the problem is, and you and I talked about this. The problem isn't the hardware. The hardware doesn't seem to be the issue. That isn't what they were sued about. It was about the methodology for calculating. Right. And somehow by moving it to the phone,
which I don't have a problem with.
The Apple lawyers feel that they've resolved the problem. But if you send it back to the watch, then you get back to the whole prototype argument in another lawsuit potentially. So I think it might be another lawsuit anyway. By the way,
they're
this
probably,
is a workaround.
If I understand how Massimo feels about this, and I'm pretty sure that I do, they're probably going to have a hissy fit over this.
Oh yeah, again, this is a workaround. This is not a solution to the problem.
No,
this is a workaround.
Not even a little bit. It's
a way for them to try to get away with saying, "Hey, we're not violating the order anymore." And remember, we got to remember, kids, this isn't a law they've broken or anything like that. This is an ITC ruling that says that there was a belief that Apple might have violated some patents, and so they weren't permitted to import the watch anymore as it stood. So they took the feature away, but the hardware is still there. So that was never that was never in the argument.
Right. The sensor that is doing the reading is still on the watch.
Yeah, right? and this seems to have gotten around them, at least for now, but I have a feeling this is all going to be back in court.
Right. See, and my thought was, well, I don't care how they do the calculation. I don't care where they're doing the calculation. What I started it on the watch. I wanted to go ahead and actually have the results displayed there in some way, shape, or form. It doesn't have.
But I don't think it was. I don't think it was.
It doesn't even have to do it within the app. Send me a notification.
But I think it wasn't. But it wasn't. And I agree with you. You and I both know. But I don't think it was just about the calculation. It was a methodology. So sending it back to the watch might put it in too much of a gray area.
And that's where the lawyers, I think, got in the way and caused a problem. I don't see that as being
not for you
part
as
of the methodology. I don't see it as being a part of the methodology, and I certainly don't see it as being any kind of a violation of whatever.
But to be fair, without us having poured through the legal documents, we can't really know. I mean, the lawyers know what they think they can and can't get away with.
Here. I mean, honest to God,
they know what they can and can't.
I hear you. I agree. I agree.
I know. We both agree with each other on this. We wish it was otherwise, but this is the one sticking point.
I just want to reading back on the watch, so I don't have to go digging through. Apple Health to get the information. I think it's a pain in the ass.
I agree, but before you couldn't get it at all, and now you can get it. So.
Well, I could get it all along because my Apple Watch Ultra 2 silver, all right, not black,
and mine was an Ultra 1, so I have it as well.
And that's the other question. If you had it before, now that you've got this new update that's coming out and this new methodology, what happens to?
And I haven't read a lot about what happens to people who had the older devices that already were able to do this. What happens to us? I think they leave us alone because we were never in question. But let me add one more layer to that. In the sense that
where I was going,
Oh, were you going? Were you going?
Well,
here?
no. Yeah, but go ahead. Go. You got there.
Well, now I've lost my train of thought.
That was easy to derail.
Give it back to him, Randall.
Give it back to him. So right. We can't.
If you had it on the watch, it was already there, right?
Right.
It was already there, and the thought was, well, are they going to leave that alone forever and ever, or are they going to push everybody over to this? And
there's the other layer of this that I was trying to remember that I remember now is that if you have an 18.6 iOS device and and all that.
Mhm.
You received an 18.6.1 update that
Update.
includes this.
Yes.
If you were running beta 26, you don't have this yet.
Nope.
You're still without this feature if you're
Yep.
running beta 20, beta
In
26.
any shape or
It's
form,
not in
whether
there
it's
yet.
dev beta or public
Or
beta.
public beta. It's not in there yet. So
No, they've got
I
to
have not
backport
been.
this
So
in.
what I get, what I'm saying, the reason I went there is because I'm running beta 26, so I can't confirm one way or another whether they back broke those of us who are working or whether
Right.
they left us the way we were. I'm hoping they left us the way we were.
So, yeah, I'm waiting to find out. My Apple Watch is orphaned right now in that it's running beta 26. All right. But I had to get my phone out of beta 26 because I needed to get access to work email and calendar and whatnot.
Oh,
on
and
the
your work wouldn't
device.
allow.
And right, they won't allow.
How did you finally get out of that or get
You
around
can't
that?
on the watch. You
I
can't.
know you can't. I thought you got around it.
No,
No, you did not.
No. There is no way around it. You are stuck.
$800. Yeah.
Well, 500 minimum of 500
Right.
is what. If you remember the tip from the from last week was,
Yeah.
You're kind of stuck because there's no way to downgrade.
No way to go back. Yeah.
So my watch is effectively orphaned. It's on the 26. It's into my Apple account, and I am getting notifications through cellular, right? But there's no connection to the phone. I've got to wait for iOS 26 to be released. I've got to wait for watchOS 26 to be released. All right. And then I can blow the watch and I can
but don't you also need to wait for your company to agree to support it?
Yeah. I've got to get off of the beta and then get into reconnect the phone. So
gotcha.
So yeah. So we'll see what happens with that, but it'll be interesting to see exactly what happens with devices that were previously unaffected by the ban.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
And
I'm very curious to see what they do.
That are, will they get us all on a single method, or will they allow those watches that had it to continue to use and do what they had before? So
I don't know, but it'd definitely be interesting to see what they do for us.
Right.
Or not.
Correct. And speaking of a new OS from
Speaking
Apple,
of which,
all right, there seems to be a previously unknown and new operating system that Apple is working on. And Larry, what is it?
Actually, it's been around a long time. It pops its head up every now and then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think Apple just trying to kind of say, hey, we're doing something here. Then they put it back under the table so you forget about it for another year because they don't have the time to do it. But I think, for most people, I mean, this is probably going to peg your meh meter, but for a lot of us who are smart home enthusiasts, it's a pretty big deal. Google's always had the upper hand when it comes to the smart home ecosphere. And I think what Apple sees here is they are missing a little bit here in this space. So they're maybe on a mission to catch up. So Mark Gurman, who most of us trust, he's one of the top 2 or 3 in the leakers. He says that both Apple's smart home hub, which will be coming supposedly in 2026, and that new tabletop robot that you see pictures of in the news here lately, that will be arriving in 2027. They will both have this new operating system, whatever it will be called. He said that the platform is going to be elements of tvOS and watchOS sort of combined, and he expects that there will be a hexagonal grid of apps just like we have on our Apple Watches, but the platform actually revolves around clock faces and widgets. It'll have multi-user support and something kind of cool. It's going to have a front-facing camera that will scan users' faces as they walk toward it and then automatically change the layout, features, and contact to the preferences of that person. That they already have that technology in spades. When my smart home doorbell, and this is something I like Google smart home stuff, but it never could do this that I'm about to tell you about, like Apple. Every person who has a picture in my Photos app that's tagged, when they walk up to that front door, it says, "Hey, Chris Spera's at the front door," and it never misses. It never
Oh,
misses.
that's awesome.
So they do have the technology. I think if they implement it correctly,
Yeah.
and they put some marketing money behind it, maybe they'll get the rest of the world on board with smart home. But right now, it's still a niche market, sort of.
Yeah.
If you take away
Interesting.
Ring and Blink and all that crap, because that's what it is. It's pretty much Amazon stuff.
Yeah. I will I did not see or notice and it actually unfortunately didn't even pop into my brain when we were shopping for a smart doorbell. Um didn't even think about an Apple compatible,
Well,
you know?
There
you know,
aren't many
Chris,
options, and that's the
Yeah.
problem. That
no,
is the problem.
and that's when my concern. If Apple's going to come up with this OS, modified OS, to and put out something
Mm-hmm.
new, I think
Mm-hmm.
they're late to the party. They're very
Oh, they
late to the
are.
party. And
Absolutely.
Oh, it's
the
horribly
question
late.
is it to the point that nobody cares anymore because they've already settled on something else and they've got huge investments in something else right now.
Right.
90% of the people out there just go buy a Ring off Amazon and they're done. The
Yeah.
doorbell works perfectly. It
Yeah.
just doesn't
Yeah,
work with all
yeah.
your
It
other
it just
stuff.
does it, right? It
Well,
just
and
does
now
the
that
things.
but now there's a whole secondary question about what Amazon and Ring are doing with the data and who they're giving it
Oh,
to and all those kinds of
that's a
questions. So
different
there's
With
story.
there's
Apple,
been a whole
you
lot of
run the
scandals
data
around
through your
that.
home, you run your data through iCloud, and it's HomeKit secure video.
Yeah,
And that is a big deal for those of us who do care about that.
but you
Mm-hmm.
have to find a doorbell cam
But
that
there
supports
are
it.
only four of them available right now, and three of them suck. I've tried every one of them. The best one is the Logitech Circle View. I have it. It works well. It's just the only one out there, but it's the same one that's been out there for 3 years now, 4 years.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
All the players, the manufacturers are not investing in this space either. So I don't know what's going to happen. Maybe if Apple puts this together,
Maybe,
then, like we always say, the apps will come, or they should come, and the
maybe, but
hardware.
they've taken a couple of shots, and I think they're half-assed shots, and it's been a kind of a meh game for a long time. So,
Yeah.
but every couple of years, they seem to get us excited, like you said, Larry. They trot it out, they get us excited that they're going to do something great, and then it turns out to be not much of anything. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
Well,
Yeah.
smart home is something that in most families it's a split deal anyway. I
Yeah,
love it.
yeah,
Brenda says, if something ever happens to you, I am ripping that crap out of the socket, every piece
yeah.
of it.
We're the same way in our household. Most
Yeah,
part, we could care less about it. It's
yeah.
there, but we just don't care.
It's another toy.
Well, yes and no.
The
And let me,
thermostat I love. I can be laying in bed, it's too hot. I don't have to get up. I can say, hey, you know who, raise the
Mhm.
temperature 1 degree.
yeah, yeah.
So,
What's the thermostat temperature at, and then you can raise it or lower it to whatever you want, and
yep.
that's nice.
And you can
Um,
do that from wherever you are in the world, too.
right, right,
True.
and that's not
And I can
too
open
bad.
my garage door and watch whoever's getting in there if somebody's coming to drop
Sure.
something off, they're standing there. I open the garage door, they drop it off, and I shut the garage door behind them. Man, that's pretty cool. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
got to
Sort
admit,
of.
sort of.
Sort of. It's
So,
a mixed bag. Gotta
yeah.
get it.
But yeah, for us, the neighborhood is I don't want to say it's starting to take a turn, but there's been a rash of
Ooh.
auto break-ins
Hmm.
around the area, and having a Ring doorbell or some sort of a video doorbell is not a bad idea. Having a camera that hooks into that same system so that you can watch somebody, walk across the yard or driveway and come up towards the door, and you can sort of have a couple of different angles on them is not a bad idea. It's kind of what got us to jump in. And again, if I had had something that worked with my or our Apple accounts, because we're all Apple here at the house, except for me, who sort of straddles the fence. Um,
The
it
only
would be,
problem, Chris, so all of this crap is it's event driven.
yeah,
If you
it is.
really want protection, you got to get a CCTV system, 4 or 5 cameras, and 24/7 monitoring.
Or a 12
Eh,
gauge pump. Yeah. One of those, one or both.
Or
One of those.
both.
but you have,
Yeah,
but with those CCTV systems, you have to have big hard drive or storage space
yep,
and be
Yeah.
you do.
constantly rotating your videos, and on
Yeah.
it goes.
Yeah. Yeah.
How many,
And
it's all about how far you
That's
want to
why
go.
most people just say, "Oh, hell with it." They just don't bother.
yeah, they,
Mhm.
you know,
I get
and
it.
then you've
I
got the
do.
privacy concerns. Some people don't necessarily know or understand or trust what Amazon is doing with the data.
Right,
They don't
right,
necessarily
right.
want
Well,
pictures of their
it
house or
doesn't
their
help me
neighborhood
if you look
out,
at all these
wherever
systems,
it's at.
Ring and some of the others. They have these, now there's these social networks sort of associated with them to let you notify things that your neighbors doing, and then
Yeah,
those have turned into a total crap fest for the most part. Not helpful at
very
all.
true. Very true.
I
So
just want
not
it to be
helpful.
secure.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I just don't want anybody messing with our cars,
And I don't need all this interaction with my neighbors either. But that's a whole nother
No, I
animal.
don't. I don't really
To,
appreciate
to
all
me, I
that
just want to
crap
see
either.
what's going on my camera. I do not
Just
need
want to
to
make
share it
certain
with my
that
neighbors.
I just want to make certain that I know who's
Yeah.
coming in and out of my house, and I want to make certain that
Yep.
nobody's messing with our cars. And if they decide to do that, then I know exactly. I've got a picture of you. I saw you do it. Here it's on the news. Here you go.
So,
You know,
if you want to see where things are and where they are on the map, you got other ways to look at things now, don't you?
you do. Apple Maps has
Mhm.
got a really cool kind of big upgrade coming, and this really is related to the new 26s, the iOS, Apple, and uh, new versions of the operating systems. If you've got iOS 26 beta, Apple Maps will now let you search with natural language. And what does that mean? Well, you can talk to Apple Maps any way you want to, or just the way that you would talk to anything else. Show me the best coffee shops around here with free Wi-Fi. All right, wherever I'm at, and it should bring up a list of or a screen that's got locations pin dropped on it with um,
You know,
coffee
this
shops with
really this works too. I tried it out on the interstate and I asked S to, "Hey, is
uh-huh,
there a Dairy Queen near me?"
uh-huh.
And she pointed it right out, told me right where it was. In fact, I just kind of just did it. It worked.
Yeah, no, I know, and it does a good job.
Yeah.
It does a decent job. Being able to search like this,
Well,
and
yeah,
those,
they have to
they,
do
you
something
know,
because Google's again always been ahead of them in the map game, and they've
right,
upped their game a lot in the last 5 years,
Mhm.
but I don't think they're still quite there.
right. Well,
I love their presentation better. I can read the fonts better on Apple than I can
Yeah, I
Google
think
yeah,
that,
Maps.
and that's what I'm reading in a lot of folks is like they like the display and the layout and even the basic navigation of the Apple product better
mhm,
now.
Yeah,
But that whole point of interest data is still Google
yeah.
still wins on what the I don't know what licensing. It's got to be a licensing thing because otherwise you think Apple would have licensed a lot of the same data because
true,
Google doesn't make that data. They license it for the most part.
Right.
So it's got to be the licenses that they have, and they're probably exclusive licenses, such as they
right.
are.
You
So
know, and right now, I will tell you that even though this feature is kind of cool, it is a bit of a hit and miss right now.
yeah,
Sometimes it'll
sure
work,
it is.
sometimes it won't. This is, I think, doing some cases to the state of the software, i.e., it's still a beta. They're still testing
Yeah.
it. It's still,
And it's still using the regular, microphone icon. You just click on it and say what you want to say. You don't have to do anything special, right?
right. All right, but um, your right now during the beta, your mileage may vary. All right.
Absolutely.
But it is coming. All right.
I
Um,
think people are I think this is maybe a different subject, but I think people are gonna complain a lot when 26 turns its little head loose in September. There's a lot of cheese being moved in these operating systems.
Yes.
I mean a lot of
yeah.
cheese. You look
Yeah.
for the search bar in your contacts app, and you're always looking at the top. It's not there anymore. And all these are big
That's
moves
very
that are very
very
unlike
true.
Apple.
That's very, very true. I have a feeling that Joel, you and I are going to be doing a lot of tech support for the wives,
Mhm.
because
Yeah.
the
Where
cheese
did it
is
go?
moving. Where did it go? Why can't I do this? This is screwed up. It's not working. Um, I used to be able to do this, and now I can't. No, it's
I,
still there. It's
I
just a
got to tell
different
you,
place.
even my mom, who's not very tech oriented with that. Well, she is and she's not.
Right,
Has been reading these news stories that talk about beta, about Apple beta 20, 26 out there, and
right.
she's asked me several times, should I upgrade to this? Should I
No,
get on this now?
not
And I'm
yet.
like, not yet, mom.
Yeah,
Because I know, like you just said, it's going to be a support thing for a while.
yeah,
While
it
they get
is.
used to where, because they moved the cheese. It's not that it's not there;
Mhm.
it's just they moved it.
They moved it.
Okay,
It's not exactly where, yeah, no, not yet.
so
Stay where
yeah,
you
it's a
are. You're
thing.
familiar with what you got and what you're doing right now. Stay there. All right. You're
Yeah,
in the long run, you're going to be happier. All
I,
right.
or as I like to phrase it, I want to help you. I don't have time today.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Very, very true. And speaking of things that are coming,
What's
all right.
coming?
What's
Well,
coming?
the
Oh, I know what's
the
coming.
Apple's latest processor, the M5, is supposed
Yeah,
to be coming to iPad before
sure.
Mac, but it's different this time.
No, it's
How
not.
And
is
the
that?
No, it's
but
not
but the
different at all.
M4 did the same thing. It came
Did
first.
exactly the same thing. I don't know
Didn't it
why.
always come to the iPad
So
first?
so
No,
how
never.
is it?
No, that
No.
was the first time.
No, yeah, it was the first time it came first on the iPad. But the question is, Larry, how do people think it's supposed to be different this time? Why do they
I
think
don't
that?
know. I mean, in
I
May of
mean,
24, Apple did something that it had never done before. It did debut its new M4 first on the iPad as opposed to the Mac. And though Apple has never defined the chip as such,
oh,
everybody wants to associate the M with Mac, that it was for Mac.
yeah, and
They've never said
they've never
that.
said that.
They never said
No.
that. That's just an assumption.
Well,
But
okay, so the phones have an A series processor. What does
right.
that have to do with anything? That letter doesn't mean anything,
I don't think I've ever heard what it means.
right? That's what
But
I'm getting at. So why
Apple.
isn't
yeah,
the M
A for
I
A
included?
think
is for
it's,
Apple.
the bottom line is the iPad. I
Mhm.
think that Apple is trying again what they tried the first time with this to get a reaction from the people about the chip before
Hmm.
they do it. That's just Apple.
Yeah.
But they say that the reason they say it'll be different, that this and for in some ways this is true, I guess,
Well, there
because
there there are two reasons, right,
shorter
Larry? There are two.
exclusivity window. Simply put, last year the M4 was the only device that had an M4 for a solid 6 months. Now,
Hmm.
this year it could be a shorter window if they launch the M4 M5 iPad in, say, November, which is typical. And then they come around in early, like January, February, but I can't remember ever a product being released in January,
Me
February.
neither. Me neither.
So I
No,
think,
But maybe February, but not January.
March,
March.
maybe.
Right.
Yeah.
Uh, it only affects me is because I want a new MacBook and I don't want to wait, but I'm going to, I think. I'm just not going to
Mhm.
chance it.
I hear you. And
I
then
don't
and
Well,
then
know.
the other reason is what?
Well, it's the state of the iPad software right now that,
Right.
the iPad software has changed so much in the last year. When the M4 arrived, it was just unclear how iOS 18 or iPad OS 18 would even benefit from all the performance gains.
Right.
But then Apple changed the software, and lo and behold, it's just benefiting a whole bunch. So I mean, Apple had their thoughts together. They knew what they were doing
I'm
through
sure they
through
did.
this whole thing.
I think
I don't
so.
know. I still think that the iPad Pro, the M5 iPad Pro, for the most part, other than that chip, is going to be a spec bump. That's all it's going to be.
I think so too. I think this different this time notion is a little overstated to say the least.
I would agree. I would
No.
agree.
But
Um,
when back in the old days, they couldn't do things the way they do now in marketing. And what they would do, they would put pictures of new products in magazines and say,
True.
this is going to be the new whatever. And you had to look at that picture and salivate for the next year waiting.
Right. Right.
Now it's a whole different game. So I think this is all part of that too.
Probably. Yeah, don't get me wrong. I'm looking forward to an
Oh,
M5
yeah.
based iPad. I love my M4 based iPad. I have no reason to change today, but we'll see. Let's see what's
No,
different this time around.
and we will see.
No,
I
and
know
it's a wonderful device.
it is a
As
wonderful.
I'm finding out, it doesn't do one thing very well, and that's work in a real browser. It's still got a mobile browser. You can call up the browser, but it's not the same. It's just,
No, it is still a mobile browser, regardless of what you say, regardless if you're using the quote unquote desktop version of the browser or not.
All,
and I'm
all that
making,
change, all that changes is the layout of the page. It
Yes.
doesn't
well,
it
yeah,
doesn't
but
do
it
anything
also
else.
depends on software because I have to make
Yeah.
daily updates to two huge websites.
Right.
Both of them are made in Google Sites, and I can't do it. I
Yeah.
can't.
Yeah.
Well, but to be fair, the Google site stuff is specifically written to be done with Chrome, and the browser and the mobile version of
I
Chrome
do
is
use
not.
Safari though. It works all right.
But the mobile. But what I'm getting at is the mobile version of Chrome is nothing like the desktop version of Chrome because they're both based on the same basis
Oh
that
no, I'm not
Safari is based on.
blaming anybody here. It's just because I still love that iPad. I really do.
It's a great
I
device
don't
for the
doubt
most
that.
part.
It's an awesome device.
Well, at least this year when the M5 arrives in the iPad, we won't all go, "Oh my God, look what they did," because they've
Right.
already done it.
They've already done it. Fair enough.
True.
Fair enough.
Mhm.
Oh, there we go.
Yep. And you know what I'm gonna do now?
What are you going to do?
I'm gonna move us to our mobile Linux segment.
Really?
I am.
Okay.
I'm going to open us up here with a question that has been, I think, boggling folks around the world, computing folks around the world, and those that use computers around the world for decades. All right, how much RAM do you really need?
Is that
Much
this
as you can
generation's
afford.
is that this generation's answer to how much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood?
Something like that. Yes.
I just want to know, is that is that what we're
Before
doing with this?
AI, you didn't need
Again,
as much as you do
again,
now, I'll tell you that.
sort of.
Sort of.
But not bad. So all right. So how much RAM do you need really? And this has been, I think, changed a lot. Back in when Intel was king of everything. All right. Their hard and fast rule was, as Joel would like to put it, when you ask that question, Joel, what's the answer?
All of it.
All of it. Yes. I want how much do you really need? All of it. As much as you can get, as much as you can jam inside that box. All right. And have it still work.
Well,
All of it.
Before you talk too much about this, I have never experienced this before in my life, but I'm
Mhm.
using a Mac Mini M4 Pro
Right.
with 24 gigs of RAM,
Yep.
and I have iOS, so I have 26 version of
Tahoe.
the
You've
Mac
got
OS
Tahoe.
Tahoe
You've
Sure.
got Tahoe.
running on it, and I have two major big AI clients installed on that operating system. I have the new Chat GPT 5
5.
and Gemini.
Gemini 2.5. Which we'll
Every
talk about in just a
single
minute.
day, about 3 o'clock, I get this big warning that says, "You're out of RAM, Bubba. You need to shut some stuff down." I've
Mhm.
never seen that. And I
No.
don't have anything open except those things doing nothing with them. I mean, they're
Well,
open.
they're studying in the background, apparently.
They're
Yeah,
always doing
obviously.
They're doing something, right?
But the biggest thing on the activity monitor, the biggest user of all that RAM,
Your browser.
messages.
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 Well, that's because
Now, it's
Averages
interesting.
between
that's
2
because
to
of all
4
the pictures and whatnot,
gigabytes.
pictures, videos, and crap that you've
Well,
got.
2 to
it's
4
interesting because
gigabyte.
mine run all the time in the background. My messages runs. My Mac
No,
stays
but
on
if I
all day
shut
long.
it down
And
and turn it back on, it's fine. So
no.
no,
What I'm saying is what I'm saying is I don't have the AI apps, but I have everything else
oh,
running
yeah.
that you're talking about,
Mhm.
including messages.
Mhm.
And I never seen that error. And I've got the
No.
same setup in the sense of I've got 24 gig RAM, I've got the M4 Pro chip, and I've never run into that.
Right.
So it's got to be the AI
Gotta be
apps
the
doing
AI,
something.
I think.
That I would not doubt. But let's get down to brass. How much do you
Yeah,
need really? This is
For
going
normal
to
people.
this is
Yeah.
going to depend on a couple of different things. One, what operating system are you running? Are you running Windows or are you running some flavor of Mac
sure.
OS? All right. And then it's going to get down to what processor are you running? Are you running on an ARM processor? Are you running Apple? Are you running on an Intel processor? Are you running on a are you running on Apple Silicon? What are you running on? If I have found that with Intel processors, second verse, same as the first. Joel, how much RAM do you need?
All of it.
All of it. Yes, if you're running on an
Yeah.
Intel processor, you want as much. Still, regardless of which OS you're running, whether it's
Yeah.
Windows or Mac OS, you want all of it. You want as much as you can shove in that machine. Period.
Minimum 16 gigabytes.
All right. Period. All right.
Mhm.
But you want as much as you can get. All right. And you want to buy if you're running a desktop, it's easy to add RAM. On a laptop nowadays, not so much anymore. Um, the market for laptop memory has basically evaporated. It's all hard soldered now to the motherboard. All right. So when you buy a laptop, you should buy as much memory or RAM as you can afford, period. If you're running
I
on an
think that's
Intel
true.
chip, if you're running on an Intel chip for sure. If you're running on an ARM chip, or even Apple Silicon, you may be able to go ahead and ratchet that back. On Apple Silicon, their minimum threshold is 8 GB. All right.
Well, and they'll tell you because Apple controls the hardware and the software in
They
this case,
do.
they tend to be better optimized when it comes to memory management and things
They
like that.
are. They
Tend
are.
to be.
Which is
I've
Tend to be.
never
why.
had this problem. I still think it's the beta that's doing part of that, Chris.
Well,
I
it
do.
I think the other part of your memory equation
mhm.
is what software you're running and what are you doing. So, for example,
Use
if you're going to
case. Use
use case,
case.
if
Right.
you're going to do huge photos or videos, more RAM is going to run faster for you.
Right.
But
You
that gets
still want
back,
all of it. You still want
regardless
all
of
of
your
it.
operating system, having that extra memory is going to make a difference if you're doing big
That
things.
is true.
If your life is I'm checking my browser, I'm checking my email, I'm checking my messages, not so much. You're not
You
going to
can
care
get
as much.
right. You can
Right.
get by with on Windows. You can get by with the minimum of 16. All right. If that's
And I
all
would
that
say
you're doing.
16 is a minimum on Windows these
If
days.
well for Windows
Yeah.
11, for Windows
Yeah.
11, um,
8
I would
used to be, but not anymore.
no.
Yeah. Yeah,
It
I would
used to
agree.
be 8. It used to be 8, but now it's 16 minimum. All right.
And now even the Apple devices, they used to say 8 was great for the
They
longest
don't
time,
make one with 8 on it anymore.
but they went to 16 because of
They did
AI,
go to 16. All right.
Right.
They did go to 16, even
primarily
though
because of AI.
right. And again, that's the reason why. All right. The AI is a hungry beast. It wants as
It
it
is.
will eat as much storage as you give it, which is one of the reasons why AI data centers are going to be popping up all over everywhere eventually, and
Oh,
B,
wow.
why they're going to be absolutely positively huge.
And you
All
know
right.
something? I just thought about this. This just started 2 days ago. Two
Mm-hmm.
days ago is when I installed the super powerful upper end model of ChatGPT 5. I bet
Mm-hmm.
that's not coincidental.
No, no,
I
I
bet
would think
that's
that yeah, you're probably right. All right, starting when you start using the new um, uh, large language model that they've released, then yeah,
And
you're going to
and
need
Larry,
more.
memory use is not processor use, and what you were comparing was processor use
right, right,
before.
right, right, right.
Right.
So there's a very different as to how that stuff gets leveraged. I'm with you.
Agree.
I think that probably did it.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think that our numbers are probably going to keep going up. But it goes back to the same thing, regardless of whether you're running an ARM or an Intel based processor, and regardless of the operating system, at the end of the day, you're going to want to get whatever you can afford to get.
Right.
That's what you're going to want to do. You want to
Well,
bump it up as much as you
again,
can.
they say that there are in fact minimum recommended amounts. All right,
True.
for Windows it's 16 gigabytes. But again, buy what you can afford and buy as much as you
Yeah,
can
don't
afford,
and don't
especially
buy
if you're
for
on a
what your
laptop.
use case is today because it may change. Buy a little
Yes.
extra.
Buy for the
My
future.
next one's having 48. I'm telling you right now.
Buy for the future. All right, buy for the future, especially if you're budget conscious, or if you're. I said when I got the M1 Max that it would last me 5 to 7 years. All right, and I'm starting to look and want and feel like I want something that's got a little bit more to it.
And how much memory do you have in your M1 Mac?
God knows.
I think you have 48.
I've
if I
got
remember.
64.
64,
Yeah.
yeah.
I've got 64. All right. And I think I've got enough RAM. I just think I'm, with what I'm doing and what I'm wanting to do. I think it's more of a processor need now, but
Yeah, you're probably hitting processor now. You're old enough along. I will say that my M1 base Mac was 16 gig,
Mhm.
and I had that forever, and it was fine. It did a great job of,
Well, again,
my
if all you're
daily
doing
stuff.
is
Yeah. Well, I was doing a little more than that, but
productivity
the point
browser
was,
and email, but
but now I'm on 24 with a little bit
Mhm.
faster processor. I'm on an M4 now.
Yep.
And I think that I can just see that going up and up as
And it's going to
AI becomes more of a thing.
and it's going to on your Mac. On your Mac, your Windows machine wants at least 16. On your Mac, I would say, you're probably building for the future, because Macs are generally more expensive. All right.
True enough.
All right. I would say those that are buying them are going to be keeping them longer. They're going to be using them longer. And you want to be able to build for the future. I think your minimum there is 24, not because it needs it, but because you're going to want to go ahead and have it last a little bit longer. So,
And you're going to want to support the AI stuff that's coming out.
yes.
I get it. I get it.
Yes.
Well, so speaking of the AI stuff, the stuff that's sucking up our RAM that we're buying,
And we've kind
Yeah.
of teased it a little bit,
we have teased
already.
it. So why don't we talk about it?
Larry, talk to me about ChatGPT 5 versus Gemini 2.5.
I will.
Thank you.
But before I do that, I would mention that
A word from our sponsors. Yeah.
a word from our sponsors, a word from Randall. No, I mean, a lot of times the four of us, when we pick out the show titles and the topics, I mean, we go research them and we think about them and we try and have our thoughts together so we at least sound like we know what we're talking about. But sometimes they hit home a little bit more than
They
others.
do.
This
do.
one is one that truly does for me because of what I've been doing for the past couple of weeks project-wise. I have been knee-deep in AI, and I have truly, for the first time since AI came out, I have discovered some really decent uses for it, and they're amazing. They really are. You got to have the use case to recognize it. So Amanda Caswell over at Tom's Guide thinks there's a clear winner between ChatGPT 5 and Gemini 2.5. And spoiler alert, I think she's right, and it's ChatGPT 5. A week ago or 2 weeks ago, I would not have agreed. I would have said it's casually, I would have said it's Gemini based on, and I was using both of them at that time.
Really?
But right now, having GPT-5, ChatGPT 5 installed,
Mm-hmm.
it is amazing. I mean, this thing is it thinks a lot. Sometimes it just slays me. My brother-in-law sent me this puzzle that was supposedly the hardest puzzle known to man, or at least in his thinking. And it was scribbled on it was a scan. So I took the scan and scanned the scan and gave it to Jim. I gave it to ChatGPT 5 and I said, "Can you solve this?" And it was nothing but a bunch of numbers and boxes and chicken feed. And it worked for 14 minutes. The big model, 14 minutes. And it kept telling me what it was doing. And at the end, it starts talking to me. It knows my name. And it
Mm-hmm.
said, "Larry, can you look at the scan? And I'm having trouble with this one little thing. I don't know if it's something misrepresented in the scan or if it's really supposed to be." It was a dot below a minus sign, and it thought it might be a division, a division sign. I mean, this thing is so freaking good. But the bottom line is what she did, she gave it 10 challenges, both of them, the same 10 challenges.
Right.
And yeah, Gemini came ahead on a couple of things, but for the most part, the overall winner was GTP5. In the end, they're both capable tools and they shine in different ways. So if you have Gemini 2 and you're happy with it, that's fine. But
Right.
if you want it to do more or do something differently, if you want it to do graphics, you tell Gemini, ask Gemini to build me a graphic that looks like it'll say, nope, I can't do that. I'm sorry. It's not my part of the world right now.
Hmm.
And if you ask the other one, ChatGPT 5 spits it out just boom, 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 boom. And everything you ask
And
does
and
it.
what are those models costing you a month?
$20? It doesn't cost me $20, but that's what it costs, 20.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the upgraded version, but
Yeah.
I can do the same thing. I did the same thing for the first week. In fact, I don't think I'll keep paying or even, I don't think it's worth it. The regular GPT-5 is fine. I think the only difference is time. Time. That
The
14-minute
speed at which
computation might have taken
it
me an
actually
hour.
produces the speed at which it actually produces
And
it,
it even
right?
tells you that when you go up to upgrade, it tells you that the main difference is how fast that the model will work. So if you're using it in a work environment
Yep.
and time is money to you, then by all means, $20 is nothing
Sure.
because it'll spit this stuff out so much faster.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I just, when we first started talking about AI, our biggest concern was the bumpers, and I still think that's a concern. But
Yeah, I don't think
I
that's
had
changed.
I
no
would tend to
idea
agree.
that
Yeah.
this thing was as good as it was. I
Well,
mean,
I remember saying back then though, Larry, this would start creeping in on the
you
sides of our
did.
life,
Yeah.
not straight in front of you. And I think that's what happens. It creeps in little ways, and then
Mm-hmm.
all of a sudden you go, "Oh, I can't live without this anymore." And that's when they got you.
Well, here's something I did that I don't think
So
we could have done even 6 months ago with AI. I
Mm-hmm.
asked this model, I said, and I've been talking to it for 2 weeks now, almost 2 weeks. I said, do you pretty much understand my writing style? And it says yes, just like that. I said, okay, then write me 100 computing tips that majoritively apply to both Mac and Windows. Do it in my writing style, make them about 150 to 160 words each, and it spit out 100
so
of those articles, and it sounded like me writing, and it did it in about 5 minutes.
Nice.
100 articles,
Nice.
100.
so
Nice.
let me
Yeah.
tell you right now, I'm looking at OpenAI's website, and there are three tiers of pricing.
Mm-hmm.
The first one,
Yeah,
the first
there's
two you've
one more.
mentioned,
I didn't even look
yeah,
at that.
the first two you've mentioned are the free and the plus,
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and that's $0 and $20 a month. And it
yeah,
looks like there are opportunities to test new features in the $20 model. There's
Mm-hmm.
access
There
to
are.
the video generation in the $20 model that does not exist in the base model.
yeah. The other one's
Access
beyond me. I can't do it.
access to the Chat GPT agent, creating and using projects, tasks, and custom GPTs. That's all in the $20 model. It's not in the free model.
Right.
And then the pro model is $200 a month.
Yeah.
But isn't that for a team though? Doesn't it have more people can use it?
Everything in plus unlimited access to GPT-5, access to GPT-5 Pro, unlimited access to advanced voice, access to OpenAI O3 Pro, which is more compute for the best answers to the hardest questions, they say. Extended access of the ChatGPT agent, extended across the Sora video, access to the Sora video generation, and access to the research preview of Codex agent. None of that's about using it on a team. That's one person.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So
But
I
still, if you
There
did,
is an enterprise product version that you can contact sales and reach for. That's an enterprise product they have. They don't put the pricing for that.
Right.
And there is a team, which is limited version of team for $25 a month per user.
but if you're an engineer making a $500,000 a year, that's nothing. $200
Yeah,
a
you don't
month.
care. Yeah,
You
if
don't
that's
care.
the case, that's true.
If it's
No.
So
saving you all that I believe it can save you in time and effort, and I don't even think most of the stuff needs checking like it did in the old
yeah,
days. I don't.
but really, at the end of the day, it's still going to use the data of what you do to help generate for
It
other
is.
people and other
It
things.
is.
You're still helping create the product. that you're paying
Right.
for.
True. True.
Probably very true. I think what's so different to me now is the fact that it can do things like
Yeah.
you would, as opposed to like a machine would.
Right. You know what's interesting? In my office, all right, um, there are ChatGPT and Copilot are the two AI based services that they allow you to use, all right, at work. Um, I asked if I could use Grammarly, and they said no. If you want some level of something or other to proof your document, you may use Copilot or you may use ChatGPT. All right. Okay. So I'm not going to have some. I you can have Copilot read along and go along with you and sort of read over your shoulder, if you will, in office-based applications. I wanted so Grammarly though works at the OS level because it installs an agent in the system tray in Windows and does whatever it does. It also does the same thing on Mac. Um, but they won't allow that. They'll let you use those two. All right,
Interesting.
Not even Gemini. It's Copilot because it comes with Office
Windows.
365, which they subscribe to, and
Sure.
Chat GPT from OpenAI. I went and I bought myself a $20 monthly membership, and I know I use it while I'm at work.
For ChatGPT.
I'm sorry,
For
ChatGPT.
for
ChatGPT.
ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yes,
Same
I
one
bought
I
a
have.
$20 membership for ChatGPT, and I am now using GPT-5. All right, at the office, and I know that the consulting company that I'm working for uses Copilot, um, and the company that I'm currently deployed at also uses, like I said, either Copilot or GPT, ChatGPT.
If you guys would take any questions or challenges you want to ask an AI bot, ask it of Copilot and any of those others.
Yeah.
No disrespect to Microsoft, but Copilot isn't
Oh,
even close.
no,
It
it
is so far
sucks.
behind.
It
But
sucks.
it is using ChatGPT in the back end. It's using
It
Yeah, but
is.
OpenAI's
I
product in the
don't know
end.
that they're not using five, I don't think.
I
Well,
don't
they
think they're using
weren't
five either, but
previously.
they are using OpenAI's product
They
in the
weren't
back end.
previously.
But remember I told you the difference is amazing. It's just
It is.
Yeah.
You know what I also think is amazing is the number of people that are in my office on my floor that are actually using
Yep.
AI every day. I can't. I
to
mean, I go
work. I mean, they're
by.
really working with it.
I walk through the office and whatever they're asking it questions. They're doing. They're pulling. Hey, create this for me, and they're pulling that out. All
Yeah.
Well,
right.
it's become the new search engine for the people too. Let's be honest. They're using it, AI for their search engine. But I will say the
No,
company
they're
I work
using it to
for,
produce work product.
the
So
the work the company I'm working for actually does encourage AI use, and they want you to use it, and they want to use it as a differentiator for us dealing with our customers. So
I
it's
think
like,
that's interesting.
okay, it's a very, very interesting when they don't have any real guidelines as to what that looks like, though, and I find that a little disconcerting because there's no guardrails on it, no
I
curbs
would
on it.
also tend to agree. For
So that's the way they're doing it,
for
though.
what I'm doing, I wouldn't necessarily. I mean, I do work in the healthcare field, and I would not necessarily say
Mm.
that what I'm doing is mission
So
critical as far as um, directly affecting someone's health.
sure,
All right,
gotcha.
but all right, there are others. If they're doing it in on my
Mm.
floor with the groups that are on my floor, you know that they're doing it elsewhere. All right,
Mm.
and you have to wonder how much.
You know where this thing shines. I'm coming up on an obligation. I need to give a 30-minute dog and pony show to an organization about Chat GTP.
Hmm.
And I asked Chat GPT to create that 30-minute PowerPoint presentation for me.
Yep.
You think I have to even touch one slide? No,
Nope.
it's perfect.
But here's the thing that bugs me with that, and I get it. but it's not you presenting it anymore.
Oh no,
Can you
I'm
actually,
going to put I do my own language with it, but I just wanted the
you know,
bullets up there.
but can you actually claim authorship anymore at that point? You know, it
I
really isn't
don't,
you anymore.
You know,
probably not, but it'll be better than if I'd have done it.
well, as far as the organization is concerned, and this is kind of sort of where I'm getting to, as far as the organization is concerned, yes, you can claim authorship. That's work product that you produced or caused to be produced, and therefore, you get your 40-hour shekels.
And they're
Every-
paying for that
Yeah,
product
I
in
get it.
Google,
yeah,
so
so that counts as you doing it. Now, whether or not in the private sector or in the public sector rather, whether or not you can claim that as um
So can I now turn
your
around
own
and
is a
claim
different
the
story.
$20 a month or $200 a month or whatever level I choose to buy? Can I now claim that as a business expense and get away with it on my taxes? Don't know.
Don't
I
know.
doubt that.
Don't
Well, I
know.
don't know.
You know, it's
For
one of
the
those
Get away with a
interesting
lot.
things.
$240
So
a year that I and somebody else may be
it could
paying.
be a professional subscription. I would,
Yeah, maybe. So,
Right.
I would tend to say potentially yes.
Adobe is.
So,
Adobe's Acrobat is tax deductible if you use it.
Mm.
What's the
there you
difference?
go.
Well,
So,
and that's a great question. What is the difference? Right?
don't know.
It
Legally, I don't
hasn't
know, I
been
should
tested
say.
yet. It hasn't been tested yet.
Yeah, I think it will be at some point, probably in the near future.
So that's
Probably.
something for the government to take a look at. Something else
But
that the
speaking of the
government,
government,
yes,
speaking of the
something else
government,
that the government is currently
Mhm.
talking about doing, and I think this is probably one of the stupidest things that I think
yeah,
that the government would even consider doing at this point. The U.S. government is currently in talks to take an active stake in Intel.
I don't get
And
this one.
Mm.
I just don't.
this would be a similar kind of bailout, if you will, that the government did with the banking industry. This would be a similar kind of bailout that the government did with the automotive industry. Chris, you and I were talking about this
we
earlier this
were.
week, and there's a big difference
I disagree
between.
with part of that, but I'll wait.
Well,
There's
there's
a
a big
difference.
difference, but there's a big difference between
Uh-huh.
what the government did with banking and with the automotive than what they are planning on doing with Intel. Number one, this is a single company and not necessarily an industry. Number two, um, with the banking industry specifically and with automotive, they had specific plans to dig themselves out of the hole and pay back the government. I don't know, and I have very serious doubts about whether or not Intel has the chutzpah or the cojones in order to be able to get themselves out of the hole that they dug for
I don't think
themselves.
they even have the plan for where they should
No,
go.
no.
And I would argue that General Motors was not the entire cause. The executive management in General Motors was not the entire cause that created the need for the bailout.
I agree.
By the way,
Intel effed it all up. GM
but
didn't.
let's also point out that with GM, they not only did where they bailed out, but they turned around and paid back the loan early. They were
Yes.
early paying it all back.
What didn't
Yeah.
I think
Right.
Ford did the same thing.
Yeah,
So
well,
the point I'm getting at is that they had a very clear plan. They
did.
executed the plan and they
They
got
did.
it done.
They did.
Yeah, I think
And
there's something underlying here that we're just.
well, the problem, and I think Larry, you hit on it. All right. Intel's in too deep. This has been a known problem for a while. They're behind in the technology. All right. They don't have the engineering skills or the engineering knowledge. It's not part of their
No, other
intellectual
people have
property.
left.
All right. It's
Right.
not part of their intellectual property to get beyond the
And
5 nanometer process that they've
well,
currently
yeah.
got.
So you and I talked, Chris. There's two problems that they've got. One is, they would have to license ARM and move toward ARM, and they're not going to do that. They're just not. Their brain
Well,
set isn't going down
they've got a
that path.
different CEO.
That's one part of it, but
They've
that's
got a
one part of
different
it.
CEO, so that's a possibility. I don't know how probable it is.
But the point is, even if they go there, they're really, really, really late to the party.
Yes.
And then the second problem is from a manufacturing standpoint, they can't get themselves down to those numbers that TSMC and some others are managing now.
Right.
And unless they can do that, they're not competitive. and they can't
Right.
be
And
competitive.
there's
No.
they don't have the money to build the facilities either.
No,
No, they don't have
or
No,
the
they don't
They
have
know-how.
the
don't
money
have
to
the
build, even if
credit
they were
to
to
borrow
reuse
the
the
money
current.
because they're not making any money.
Well, even if they were to even if they were to use the current manufacturing facilities that they have, all right, and just build different lines or upgrade different lines to handle different manufacturing processes. You're right, they have not got the engineering know-how
Well,
to get
yeah,
past the 5 nanometer
and
process that they've got.
and even in the CIC processor space that they seem to want to stay in, they're getting their crap handed to them by companies like AMD right now.
Yeah.
They're not
Companies
competitive in
that
that
previously
space.
could not come close to Intel.
And
Yeah,
Apple.
but Apple's winning in the ARM space. They're not winning in the CISC space at all. They're not even playing in that space anymore.
No.
But in the ARM space, Intel can't even start there. They haven't even
No.
gone down that path at this point. Not again. I mean, they tried it before, but they didn't go very far, and they let it go. And Joel, I think we talked about that a few weeks ago, didn't we, Joel? About how they kind of botched that process.
Yeah.
Well, 10 years
but-
ago, Intel said ARM's never going to happen. No, it's never going to be a thing.
No, and here we are, and we're not talking about it in terms of talking about ARM. We're talking about it in other terms. We're talking about it in terms of Apple Silicon. We're talking about it in terms of
It's
these
ARM.
these Copilot PCs. They don't even talk about the fact that they're ARM-based PCs. They're just Copilot PCs, and they're in the stores. And what did you say, Larry, when you went in the store and saw one?
Oh my God.
Yeah, and you did.
Yeah,
and it wouldn't have
and-
occurred to
and-
you that it was on a different processor of any kind. It would never have occurred to you.
Never would have occurred to me. And for what it's worth, my friend who just bought that machine and has been playing with it now for about a week or so, he's really a PC nerd. He's a good geek. He said you just won't believe there's nothing bad that he's found except one or two apps that he now has to run an emulation.
Right.
And that's it.
Right.
Big deal.
So,
But
You know, and-
but it's completely transparent to the user, so you don't even know that that's happening.
No.
you know, what's
But
happened is
it's-
on top of all this, Intel used to own all that space, that the processor space and PC and any Windows PC, they owned the processor space. Now
Mhm.
AMD has their Ryzen chips out there. They have a whole slew of things out there, and you can't tell me if I put one in front of you and I don't tell you what's in it, you're probably
You
not going to
can't-
know what's
you
in it or
don't
care.
know. You
And the
don't
point
know.
is that what's happened is that's become a commodity. Nobody cares. They're just as good. They're not worse. They're not better or worse. They're just as good now.
well, they could be better.
They could be,
but they're
but the point of
definitely
getting-
not worse.
But the point I'm getting at is because they're not worse, there isn't a class system on that anymore. So
No.
Intel has lost any leadership role they had in there. So where are they going to go? What are they going to do? That's the question, and I don't think they have a plan. So
No,
I
they
think,
don't.
Parts they
I think
had
the government-
ARM. I mean,
They
they had
did.
ARM
They
when
did.
Pocket PCs were out. They brought out one of the most advantageous Pocket PC was the PXA 270, I think it was.
Oh yeah.
And they did nothing with it.
They did nothing
at
with
all.
it.
And you know where
It's-
ARM has a tremendous advantage these days? If you ask any road warrior today, what's the most valuable commodity in that
Battery
laptop?
life.
Battery.
Battery.
He
He
Yep,
wants
I'm
it to
with you.
last for 3 days without charging it.
Yep.
And so
ARM will do that eventually,
so-
I think.
to me, and I'm with you, Chris. I think that the government throwing money at this is throwing good money after bad. If
It
they
is.
do this.
It is the
They're
worst.
throwing out part of that's
I don't
our
have a
money.
problem. I don't have a problem with the government getting involved in industry or with individual companies, provided that the company has a clear,
Plan.
documented, and viable
Yeah.
plan
Well-
to get the government the hell
Well,
out of the business.
And in the case especially of the auto industry, there was an imminent danger of the whole industry collapsing. That's not the case
Right.
here.
No.
That's just not the case here.
Yeah.
Well, the problem here is that this is the only quote unquote American-based chip manufacturer, really. All right.
And I think that's just what they want to salvage right there.
And they want to salvage the fact that
With an
these are
inferior
American-made
product,
chips.
unfortunately. But
Right,
with an
these are
inferior
American-made
product.
chips, and it's not so much that these are microprocessors per se, because microprocessors are not the only business that Intel is in. It's not the
True.
only thing that they produce. Is
Very
you know,
true.
the core.
It's like it's the
processor.
last gas station in America that still washes your windows and pumps your gas, and
Right.
someone's trying to
Yeah.
save it.
Right.
Forget it.
And that's
I just think,
this is not going to work. This is going to go. And what's going to happen is they're going to go and they're going to get into this with Intel. Intel's going to spend this money, and then Intel's going to come back with their hand out again, going, "I need more.
I need more.
All
yeah,
right,
that's what's going to happen. They're just not
and it's
there.
going to end up causing a problem with the U.S. government. It's going to affect the way that the government is able to run and serve the American people, and I don't want that. Nobody wants that.
That's not the place we need to be spending our money.
No.
The
So-
move with the auto industry and the banking helped the American people a
Yes.
lot. This does
This
nothing for
this
them.
does not.
No.
So
Because everything
you know,
they make, somebody else makes,
so the risk here is
doing
that
well.
Intel's going to shut down, or that's the risk here, or that they
Right.
could shut down if they don't do anything.
And they
But that's not the
probably-
only thing that could be shutting down, is it?
No.
No.
Unfortunately, and I saw this, and it really kind of made me stop and take pause. And the Kodak, which is a huge American-based photography company. At least it started out that way, 130 years ago.
Yeah.
They're in danger of shutting down. Joel, what's happening here, man?
Well, yeah, what's not happening is they're not selling film anymore because that's what they were known for years and years and years.
Well, that and I think they're the ones that actually started Photomat. For those that remember Photomat, so where you go and you drive, they were a drive-up photo development place.
Yep.
Right.
So
I
according
really
to
thought this
August
happened
11th,
a few years ago.
Yeah, I
So
did
what happened
too.
here?
Yeah,
So what
I
happened
thought
here?
it kind of went. I thought it went the direction of Polaroid, which were Polaroid doesn't really exist anymore either, but they're licensing the heck out of its name and making other things. But
They have a new camera out though, by the way. They're for some
Kodak or Polaroid?
Polaroid, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
so
Interesting.
It was what's sad about this whole
not
thing
doing
is that
well.
they are.
But they're not. But their big thing is,
old.
but they're basically been out of photography for a while. They really
They've
haven't
been
been playing in photography for a while.
What they've really been in is more of a chemical-based business. All right. And the problem is that Kodak is currently $470 million in debt.
Holy
All
crap!
right.
I just saw a new article that says 500 million in
Wow.
debt.
Yeah.
So, I mean-
it's closer to 470 million. All right.
Almost
And
500.
then they've got,
yeah, I get
and then
it.
they've got 200 million in pension liabilities. But
Mhm.
if their notes were called within the next 12 months, i.e., they had to pay back
They're done.
that total $470 million, they would not. The CFO has said they would not be able to do it if those notes were called within the next 12 months.
And it looks like they're going to kill their pension plan in order to save money. It's like,
Yeah,
Yeah,
but that's only going
that's
to
not a
to
good
solve
look.
half their problem.
but that's not a good
Right.
look for their
No,
employees.
it's not. All right, for somebody that gave them, 40,
Yeah,
35, 40 years of their lives,
that's not going to go
and
over
we're
well.
promised a pension for the rest of their lives. That looks horrible,
Yeah, I think so.
Right.
That's very sad.
It is, but it doesn't look like the Kodak moment is gone. It's
Right.
past.
Yeah,
Well,
so to
they
speak.
really need with the transition to digital cameras. I mean, they actually did. They didn't completely make it. They kind of played around with it. I had actually several
Yeah.
Kodak digital cameers.
And they
back
were
in the
never,
day.
but they were never really quote unquote real cameras.
Mhm.
All right. I mean, they
They
never
weren't out
Way
on
too-
Olympus
well,
or something like that.
like Polaroid.
Right.
Kodak never really thought that digital cameras were going to take off. All right.
Right.
They never jumped on board. They never bought into the fact that the American consumer or the consumer period would want something like that.
Right.
All right. Everybody was they were so stuck
Well-
in the paradigm of physically holding pictures and then putting them in an album or a book.
But it also
Right.
never occurred to them that we'd have a handheld computer on our person at all times that we could
24/7. Yeah.
use
Yeah.
as our photo album, as our
And see,
camera,
now
as our
I'm
everything
looking-
else.
Yeah.
I am looking at their website now, and it's pretty darn sad. In the consumer
What's it?
section, they're making a Bluetooth speaker. I'm like, what? Whiskey
I see
Tango
they're in
That's gonna go
pharmaceutical.
down.
I
They
see they're
tried
in
making
pharmaceuticals.
printers for
Yeah.
a while. I remember
and
those.
a
I remember
Kodak
that.
the Kodak Luma 500 projector. I'm like,
Yeah.
so basically, yes, they have gone the direction of Polaroid in that they're licensing their name to things. They got the
Yeah.
Barbie X Kodak Step Slim instant photo printer. I'm like,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah, they did
that's
go.
gonna
They
sell
did go. One of the
stuff.
things that they did get into was photo printers, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
With with the famous Kodak name, trying to go ahead and build on, or at least salvage some of their legacy through printing of photos. But even still, how many people actually in the last
Hmm.
decade do you know of?
who knows what
Yeah.
Kodak is?
Who knows who or what Kodak is, what the
Right.
company history is, and why it's significant, and who
I
and over and
I
above that, thumbs through a
I
photo
gotta
album
tell you,
anymore,
but I
physical
gotta
Right.
tell
photo
you,
album.
I watch. I like to one of the things I like to watch on YouTube from time to time is these reaction videos to old music, and the Gen Z watching
Yeah,
these old things and being completely clueless. Well, this is great. How come I never heard of this? Yada yada yada. And one of the songs that came up was Kodachrome, and the
hmm
first thing out of their mouth is, "What the hell's Kodachrome?
yeah,
Right.
What is this about? I don't understand what this is about," because they didn't know what Kodachrome was or
right.
why you would care. And so, yeah, those names are just disappearing so fast, and we're losing a lot of those brands and those names and what they're
Those
all
things that
about.
actually
So,
made a dent or a noticeable permanent mark
so
in American history. You know,
Big,
so
big
I'm kind of
fly.
sad. I'm very sad to see Kodak
Yeah.
go because it was a huge part of history for so long. And let's face it, you without Kodak,
yeah.
But I'm
having
going
done
through
their
their
thing.
consumer section. There's all sorts of things I didn't even know they made, like USB flash drives. I'm like, huh?
Yeah, little one-off things. It's just very interesting.
Why?
I don't
I'm
know
like,
because
yeah.
they sold off all their big stuff. They sold off all their rights and their patents and
Well,
or at least they
they don't
licensed
have
them
any
anyway.
IP left.
Flashlights, Kodak flashlights.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
I'm like,
one of the
So
biggest things that they did, though, one of the biggest things that they did was back in 1987. Kodak and Fujifilm came out with
yeah.
the disposable camera, right?
right.
And those were wonderful for, things like big family events where you'd go and you would buy a bunch of these and you'd pass them around or leave them at tables or whatever for
Oh
weddings,
yeah, I remember
and
that being a
everyone would
thing.
take the pictures and then turn the
Yeah.
camera into the party hosts at the end of the party, and they would develop all of these pictures and
And
then
share the pictures, share
share the
But
all
the
pictures
that.
with
biggest
everyone.
money
Yeah.
maker ever was the big yellow box they put in all of the drugstores where you just drop your film in,
Yep.
Uh-huh.
hit print.
Oh, it was a
That was
huge
all
thing.
theirs,
Yeah,
and
Well,
that made them a ton.
they
yeah,
had the idea that not only, did you have the product, but you also had the process.
and
So
the
you kept
service,
them
Right.
right?
hooked. You
Yeah,
kept them hooked on your
And now they're
service,
throwing
right?
spaghetti at the wall trying to see what sticks, like
Of,
luggage. I'm
of
like,
luggage,
little things that
really?
they have left.
right? Those,
I'm
But
like,
they're not
Luggage?
the
come on.
but they're
Wow.
not the only ones trying to make things stick and trying to make a name for themselves, are they,
that
Chris?
is true. That is
Uh-huh.
true. You know, a little bit of background before we get to the actual story. Google's had a number of different lawsuits thrown at it. One of the biggest ones being that Chrome was developing a browser monopoly, and one of the things that
No.
Europe
No,
was wanting them
really?
to do was have them divest has have Google divest of Chrome. Well, speaking of which, AI startup Perplexity went and
Yes.
offered Google 34.5 seconds. $34.5 billion for Chrome.
Somebody is backing them on that. I know it. They have
Yeah,
to
and
be.
that has
But
to
who?
be because they're only worth 18 billion. It's like,
You can't borrow twice that. You can't do it.
No, no. So Joel, what's happening here? So
so
What do we
yeah.
think is
And by the
happening?
way, Google's not trying to sell Chrome. They're trying to hold
Right,
on to it
yeah,
right.
till they
Till
have to.
right.
what
Yeah.
as I heard it till it's pried from their cold dead hands. They want to
Yes.
hold on to
Basically,
it.
yes. So they're making a 34.5 billion bid for Chrome. Google didn't immediately respond, and they probably haven't yet.
They probably won't.
Yeah.
Yeah. They did
I-
not disclose on Tuesday how it plans to fund the offer. The three-year-old
Yeah.
company has raised around $1 billion of funding so far from investors, including NVIDIA and SoftBank, and it was valued at $14 billion. It's like it says multiple funds have offered to finance the deal in full. So they're working with
Who's offered to
somebody.
do that?
It just says multiple funds in the article. It
Multiple
doesn't say
funds.
who.
Yeah. Can anybody else think
Yeah.
it might be Elon Musk? I mean, really,
He's the
maybe.
only one that I can think of.
you know, this is
Now that everyone
ridiculous.
hates him.
This
But
is
yeah.
this is absolutely ridiculous. This is a company who is at best 3 years old, right?
Fair enough.
Who at best, like you said, Joel, I think has about a $1 billion or so valuation. There is no
Based on
way
nothing, by the way.
Right.
Yeah, they tried
14
to start
actually.
up as a
14 billion.
social
Okay.
media AI company. Is what they tried to do.
whatever. They're a baby AI company. Where do they think that they're going to come up with the ability to generate $34.5 billion in order to be able to interest Alphabet
Well,
or Google into
But
parting
even
with
if they
Chrome?
do, how are they going to generate the revenue needed to pay it back?
Yeah.
Right.
All right.
Where are you going to get it? Because you don't have the advertising engine.
Nope.
That's not part of the browser.
Nope.
Yep.
So how are you going to pay for this thing?
I have no idea. This would absolutely positively kill the browser, at least in my
I think so
estimation,
too.
if it were
Well, it
to
wouldn't help
go
it, that's
through.
for sure.
Yeah.
Would not help it.
No. It all that it would do would hurt Google and Alphabet in the long run. Google Chrome generates a bunch of revenue for them through their through the ad engine that
Right.
is part of Chrome or Chrome uses, and I don't see Google wanting to part with that.
No.
No,
That
not,
revenue
not, why
stream.
would they?
Right? No.
That's what the whole company was based on, is that revenue stream. So
Yes.
Mhm.
why would you want to break the engine that's feeding that revenue stream?
You would
You
not.
wouldn't. You wouldn't. So this is so they
Right.
bought a whole bunch of Monopoly games, and now that they've counted up all their Monopoly money, they want to go ahead and buy Chrome from Google. I don't see this happening, and I think this is absolutely the biggest and most laughable thing that ever hit the news, at least recently. All right,
Here we go.
Yeah, I mean, this is almost as it's almost as laughable as Intel coming to the government and saying, please, sir, I want more. But that's just me. I don't see this happening. I don't see this going anywhere. Google, you said Google, Joel, you said Google hasn't replied to this.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
I don't think if I was Google, I would reply to it. It doesn't. It's so
not a
laughable.
serious offer. It really isn't a serious offer. I mean,
I'm with
because
you on
Google, I mean, if Perplexity really wanted a browser, they can literally download the Chromium source code and build one.
And build their own. Right.
Right.
Yep.
No.
And they have
Yeah.
literally the
that
same
source code
thing.
is free, by the way.
It
doesn't
is.
cost a thing.
It is. They won't have to pay for it. So no, this is I don't see this happening. I don't see this going through. I don't
No.
see this
No.
Well,
doing
what they get
anything.
for the money is the name, and that's
That's
all
right.
they get.
That's all it is.
Right. So anyway, so that's the end of our mobile Linux segment. And you know what I'm going to do now?
What are you going to do?
What?
I'm going to
do?
move us to our Windows segment, but I'm going to do
I
that
can feel the air blowing through what's left of my hair
right
now.
after this message, Larry. Hi. This is Christopher Spera from iTechGear.org. I wanted to talk with you today about becoming a contributing donor to the site. iTechGear.org has been around for almost 15 years. In fact, our anniversary is just around the corner on January 10th, 2025. 15 years. Where has the time gone? I've never really asked for any kind of donations for the site. It's always been about me providing value to you, a site visitor or podcast listener. The iTechGear Weekly is now in its 4th year of production, and Chris G, Joel, and Dr. Mr. Larry McJunkin and I are having a really great time providing you with some of the best free tech talk available from time-tested original internet writers, testers, site founders, and professional writers and editors on the internet. I truly believe that our crew has some of the best and most qualified pundits and commentators on the internet today. And we're not hobbled by any kind of sponsorship or affiliated relationship or other time-bought posts. It all comes from the heart. Unfortunately, times are kind of tough. And since the COVID-19 pandemic of 2020 to 2023, yes, almost 3 full years, times have become increasingly difficult for small independent sites like iTechGear.org to stay afloat. You know, I normally do this with a portion of the salary I make from the day job, but with the IT market so tight right now, it's really difficult sometimes for many to make normal household ends meet, let alone fund a site like iTechGear that might decide to bring in a buck or two. You know, it ain't easy. If you find any of our content on iTechGear or from ITGW to be of any value at all, I would seriously appreciate you donating as little as just $1 to the cause. While we do have a Patreon site, it's hard to keep one website up, let alone 2. And since it's really only me doing the work, our Patreon site hasn't really helped us at all. If you can make a donation to the site or to the show of any amount, I'd be forever grateful. All donations will go to site maintenance, hosting, podcast hosting, and everything iTechGear related. Donations can be made to my PayPal account at chris@itechgear.org. Make a donation. We'll thank you immediately on the next ITGW episode and voice our gratitude. I want to thank you. We appreciate your consideration, time, and attention. Now let's get back to the latest iTechGear Weekly episode. And welcome back to the iTechGear Weekly episode number 142. Again, sort of. And I want to go ahead and I want to move us to our Windows segment. And I don't think that this is deserving of a wheel spin.
No, because Microsoft didn't do anything.
No,
well,
they didn't.
right.
With this one, they didn't do anything except. And actually, they so what are they doing? Microsoft is being Microsoft is being sued. All right, is for killing Windows 10. The plaintiff is saying that it's forcing AI upgrades. Right. So again, this from PC Magazine. There's a California lawsuit that's been filed that argues that Microsoft should not be able to end support for Windows 10 at this time. If they don't, and this is part of the reason why they had the Windows XP problem. All right. Windows XP was around for 15 years. All right. Why? Because IT departments don't want to move off of something that is quote unquote stable because it puts the business at risk if there's some sort of a vulnerability or some kind of a bug or problem with the software that impedes the company's ability to do and conduct business. It could negatively impact the bottom line, which is why it's just why in many cases companies are still either on Windows 10 or on a version of Windows 11 that is either nearing or has gone out of standard service. It's because there are known issues. There are workarounds for those known issues. They're tried, they're true, and the company's been able to conduct business on that platform, on that version of that platform, without problems. While it's important that people keep up with security vulnerabilities, et cetera, and Microsoft wants everybody to upgrade to new technologies so they can charge you new money for new services.
Right. Quite
Companies don't want
honestly.
to do companies don't want to do that, and unfortunately, if they don't stop this from happening, if this suit doesn't get killed, we're going to wind up with the same freaking problem with Windows 10 that we had with Windows XP, and I just think it's absolutely laughable.
But you know something, in some regards, this is no different than I have Windows 10, by the way, is 10 years old. So I have a 10-year-old Ford, and I'm going to sue Ford because they're not supporting my car anymore.
Because they stopped
Come
making
on.
parts for
But
died.
Larry, the difference here is that there is a legal requirement for Ford to carry parts for your car for 10 years. They are
Yeah, but
legally
when the 10
required to do
years is
so.
over, I'm out of luck.
But one of the arguments in this thing is that there's no clear statement as to how long the life expectancy on the product is. That's one of the statements that they're suing about.
Yeah.
And so if Microsoft were to say, or the government were to say, you have to support this OS for 10 years, then they could clearly say after 10 years, okay, we're done with the window, move
Mhm.
on. And there is no hardcore thing for that. So I kind of get that because that doesn't exist in the software market the
True.
way it does. But it partially does. And it partially does with companies like Samsung saying, we're going to support you for 7 years on your new phone.
Right.
They're
But part
doing
of
that more and
part of
more.
part of that's hardware. This is software.
Part of it.
Right.
Well, but Samsung is saying they'll release updates for 7 years. That's what they're saying.
Right.
Right.
So the
Which
point
is
is, I think the question is, should
they've
Microsoft do
created a
something
start
similar?
point. They've created a
Yeah.
start point with the release of the device, and they said it's going to be viable and usable for the next 7 years. After that, no more.
Yeah.
You're out of
So the
luck.
question is, should Microsoft do something similar? Would that stop this kind of behavior if they did that ahead of time when they release an OS? But how can they really do that?
Potentially, the problem that you're going to have here is still IT departments and IT managers or directors or SVPs or whatever that are going to say, I don't want to move my enterprise off of this platform because
the other problem you're going to have with that is if Microsoft says, okay, your PCs that are released in, year one are going to be supported for the next 7 years. Well, you're going to get to year 6 or 7 and nobody's going to buy your machines because they're going to wait to see what you're going to do.
But I don't think this is analogous to XP in the regard that this operating system is bringing in a whole new era of AI and all this stuff at once. Part of this is beyond Microsoft's control.
Well, part of this is beyond Microsoft's control, but it's not Windows 10 that's doing that. It's Windows 11 that's doing that. All right.
They've already given you the platform to work with the future.
Yeah.
But they want you to give up,
Well, because they're saying you need this additional hardware in order to support all this crap.
There are different security requirements. There are different hardware requirements with Windows 11 that some companies are just not either capable or willing to.
But with Windows XP, you didn't have the T1 versus T2 chip problem.
You didn't have those issues.
No.
You're absolutely right. You didn't.
I don't blame Microsoft here. I hope they will.
I don't either. I'm just trying to think of how they could possibly mitigate it. Would be to make a statement that said we'll support it for X years, and that's anything beyond that is you're lucky. Yeah, and then we're done. They could do that. They could say something like that. It'd be hard to predict what that number should be, but
True.
But the point is, they could do that and then just say, well, we're going to give you another 3 years. Okay, we're going to give you another 2 years.
Yeah,
they could do it that way. But if they only had a certain guaranteed number of years, then you couldn't blame them when you weren't able to upgrade past that, or you had to buy new hardware to go past that. I get it.
So,
but it's not Microsoft's fault. I'm with you, Larry.
It's not Microsoft's.
I don't blame them.
It's not Microsoft's fault, and it's interesting. Apple doesn't have this problem because Apple controls not only the software but the hardware as well. All right, and they have defined a specific term of support for Windows for each and every product.
But you can also see in the Apple lineup, for good or bad, even though they don't say, gee, we're going to support it for this long, you can see, okay, my machine is now at the edge of being declared obsolete, or they've got those different categories that they get moved into as they get older. So it's coming long before it comes. It's a little clearer.
I don't see it happening. I don't see that happening though with Windows, because it's a software-based system, and the only thing that I've got to, and I think this is what Microsoft is saying, if you choose to stay on this, we don't have to support it. We don't have to. We've got another product. All right.
You can stay on it if you want.
You may stay there as long as you wish. We don't have to support it.
And that's the other piece of this. There's nothing that says, they should have to keep supporting obsolete hardware ad infinitum. That makes no sense. And after a while, and any software operating system manufacturer will tell you this. You can't patch you can't patch security forever. Eventually, you get to a point where there's just holes you can't fix anymore.
There are holes you can't fix
to replace
it. Technology is so old.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. You can't do it forever.
It is not viable to support.
No. So at some point, technology products, for better or worse, are always going to be subject to obsolescence. They just are. It's the nature of the thing.
They are, and you're just going to have to get over it. As a company, you're going to have.
It's like the equivalent of parts wearing out. It's equivalent of parts wearing out.
Absolutely.
You just can't repair it forever.
I know that there are some manufacturing companies in some plant somewhere. I know for a fact, there are still computers out there that are running Windows 95 or Windows 98 for one specific thing on one specific manufacturing line, because there's no other hardware out there that will
look at the airline industry that was still running Windows 3.1. They still are in some cases.
Yep.
They still haven't given it up. I remember just even a couple of years ago, it wasn't even that long ago, there were recruiters willing to pay through the teeth to get somebody that could program in COBOL for some obsoleted 30 or 40 year piece of hardware that was still running.
Software that was still running. Well, that's what the year 2000 and Y2K
but
was.
It was running on hardware that hasn't been supported in 30 years, 70s. And yet you still had to. The programs needed to run. They had no replacement for these programs. So they're still doing it even now. So this is always going to be an issue, for this industry, I think.
Yeah. So it's still early for this particular.
This is also, to me, this lawsuit is right up there with, and Larry, correct me if you think I'm wrong here, but right up there with the, gee, McDonald's, my coffee is hot.
That's right. Yeah. Yep. That's it.
Yeah.
No, I'm
really?
with you.
Really? Yeah. Your coffee's hot? Really?
Yeah. And
right.
That's how that warning got put on that cup of coffee.
My old computer's obsolete, so I'm going to sue you now.
Yes. I just want to say it is still early for this particular lawsuit. All right. And it may have some interesting repercussions. I don't know. If you are on Windows 10 for whatever reason, I would still plan on finding some way off of Windows 10. All right.
Yeah.
And getting onto Windows 11.
I agree. And I say
another
this
platform,
as a person,
whether it's Linux or Mac OS.
I say this as a person who's a pretty big critic of Windows 11 and a lot of the mistakes that I feel that they've made. And we've talked about many of them here.
And we've spun that wheel many times.
I do not like what they've done with Windows 11, but I still think if you're on 10, you need to think about getting off it, because you can't get the support and the security that you need anymore.
Forget it.
You can't get it.
No,
and that's not, Microsoft
and that
can only
$30
go so far with
that Microsoft is offering is only going to get you for another year
at best. So you need to think about it. Even if you're not a big fan of Windows 11, you need to think about it. You really do.
Right. I mean, the whole reason why we have Windows 10, all right, or why we got Windows 7, all right, even is because Microsoft had a problem getting people off of, and IT folks off of Windows XP. All right.
We did.
Yep. And that and the fact that Windows 8 was such a cluster. All right. Windows 8 and 8.1 were such a cluster.
That really is the only reason we have 10.
It's the only reason why we have 10. All right. It was a
People wouldn't leave 7 and they hated
Right.
8. So
right,
that's
and
what
they
happened.
hated 8. So we've got 10, which is a combination or a more of a Windows 7 ish.
With some of the Windows 8 underpinnings, whether people
Yes.
realized it or not,
Yes, whether
is
they
what they
realize
did.
it, but yes. All right, and you can still see that in Windows
You
11
do.
today. All
You
right,
do. You really
all those
do.
tiles or buttons or the way the start menu is worked up is
You
still
do
very
see some of it in there.
Windows 8 like. But yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah,
you
it's
need
like a
to get off
mini
of
Metro.
yeah.
Yeah.
You need to get
Oh,
off
don't
of
say that word. I
yeah.
hate that.
You
Oh,
need to get off
Right.
of Windows
oh,
10 if you're on it. Find a new way. All right. Start shopping for a new laptop now. You might be able to go until December. Maybe you get the laptop for Christmas for you or your kids, but still get off as quickly as you can.
but one last thing here. For most people, it's not the money. It's not that they have to spend two or
No.
three hundred
They got to
bucks.
learn something new.
It's why do I need to do it? All I do is
Mhm.
email and shop on Amazon. Why
True
do I
enough.
need to do it?
Well,
And they have a
because
valid
you
point.
shop on Amazon.
And
You
they
need
have a
They have
valid
a they have a valid point from usability. What they don't have a valid point is from
security.
security.
Right.
and that's what
That's
I
the
mean.
big
That's
thing.
what I
You
tell
can't
them every
That's
day.
where
you
they're
can't
going.
support
Every day,
security
Chris.
forever. You just can't.
No, you
You know,
can't. And
can't
to
patch
think that you're going to
forever.
be able to stay there and not have your identity stolen and your bank account
Yeah, I said one
stupid.
of these things will let the bad guy in eventually, and the other one won't. Pick the one that you think's best.
Pick the one you think is going to be the word.
And
Yeah,
you're not going to
I'm
be able
with
to
you.
go back to Microsoft at that point and cry and scream because it's an unsupported operating system. You should have gotten off it, years ago or months ago.
Yeah.
You knew it was
Yeah.
coming. So
Yep. Yep.
just saying.
It is what
Anyway.
it is,
October
guys.
It is what it
15th,
is.
kids. It's the first day, October
Mhm.
15th, that Windows 10 is not supported. If you're on it, get off it now. All
That's
right?
what I'm thinking.
That's all I'm saying. And that's the end of our Windows segment. Right?
Mhm.
Big enough, I think. But still,
Okay. That's a pretty big thing.
it is. I'm
So
going to
there we
go
go.
ahead and I'm going to move us to our tip of the week segment. And I've got a good one this week. But before I get to it, I want to remind everybody, the iTechGear was founded with the intent of making technology easy for everyone to use and understand. And this team specifically has dedicated their writing careers to that specific purpose of making technology easy for everyone to use. And so every week we've got a new computing tip authored by one of our experienced editors. And if you've got questions, concerns, comments, ideas, or whatevers, then please send those to tips@itechgear.org. And if we use your suggestion, your idea, we will give you your 15 seconds of fame. This week, though, if you're on a Mac, all right, and I know that there are lots of folks out there that are. I know I am. I know, Larry, you
I
are.
am.
Joe, you are for work, and Chris, you are.
And for home.
Yeah,
Yep,
I are.
Interestingly enough, taking screenshots is something that a lot of folks do with their devices. And I know my wife, honest to God, half of her camera roll is nothing but screenshots. The woman has screenshots of screenshots. And it just drives me
I'm
back.
guilty. I'm guilty.
But
Yeah.
hey, but you know what? In many cases, it is an important thing to do, and there's sense behind it all. One of the problems, though, with screenshots on a Mac, it's difficult to get a window, a whole window. If you want a whole window for a specific app, it's not the easiest thing to do. You have a way with Command Shift number 3 to capture a screen, and then you've got Command Shift number 4, and you can freehand draw a square or a rectangle or whatever to get a specific area of your monitor. If you want the whole window, though, to do that, all you really need to do is to press the space bar. Press Command Shift number 4, and you're going to get the little crosshairs. All right. If you then press the space bar, the icon, your crosshair little cursor is going to disappear, and it's going to turn into a camera. All right. And then just hover over any open window, and you can take a screenshot of that open window.
Huh.
How about that?
All right. So
I've
if you
always used Command Shift 5 and then draw the box around stuff. But yeah,
well, that's Command Shift 4 is that. Where
no,
you get
Command
free
Shift
form.
5. Command Shift 5 will do it too. But yeah,
Okay.
Okay.
I see what you're saying. Yes.
Okay.
You get that, you get a predetermined box, and then you can
Right.
just take that box anywhere and move it where you want.
and
I
you
get
can
that.
adjust the size of it too.
You can adjust that size and whatever. And that's fine. But if you want an entire window, press Command Shift 4 and then press the space bar. Your icon will change to that of a little camera. Hover over any window you want and then click, and you're just good to go.
Huh.
So
Oy.
there you go. And
Just
that,
did it for
kids,
you.
is our tip of the week.
Well, there we go.
Yes. I'm going to move us to our pick of the week segment. All right.
Uh-oh.
But before we get there, all right, before we're rocking and rolling, I want to go ahead and remind everybody that our picks are recently just their hardware and software and other items of interest that we have individually purchased and we actually use and that we like enough that we want to recommend them to you, our growing listener base. These aren't paid advertisements or items that we have any kind of affiliated marketing relationship with. If we did, and if there was, the editorial policy over at iTechGear.org states that we've got to let you guys know that up front. These are just sincerely things that we believe in and that we want to bring to you. Get ready, guys. At the end of each show, why?
Because we like you.
We like you.
Wow, the level of enthusiasm there is absolutely
But
just wow.
Oh,
Wow.
my word.
Wow. And this week's
You're
product, I
number
think, is
one,
aptly
too.
named for that. So, Larry, what do you got?
Well, I've got something to keep your gadgets clean with.
Ooh.
I mean, spoiler alert, this stuff is literally amazing and it's inexpensive and it's the best screen cleaner I have ever seen. And you're not relegated to buying more because every size and shape of container that they sell this in, which is about 4, is all refillable. You can go buy a gallon of it from them and just keep on filling to your
Really?
heart's content. Yeah.
That's
And it's I first read about it in an article, one of the tech articles that I saw it online and then in the news feed. And I said, never heard of that. But they said in the article that it's what they use at the Apple store because all the people there touching the iPhones and the iPads and the screens of the Macs, even though they're not touchable, they still touch them. And there you always see somebody running around at the Apple store with a rag, right? He's spraying, wiping all day long. That's his job or her job. So I went to the Apple store and I said, "Hey, what do you guys use to keep all these screens clean?" And the guy said this, and it's exactly what the article said. It's a product called Whoosh, WHOOSH. It's a cleaner, and when you buy it, you can't miss it. It's in a bright orange box, and I'm a Tennessee Vols fan from Tennessee here. We love orange, so I had to buy some to try it. I had to do it. Now, the only difference that the guy at the Apple store said, now we don't use the orange rags that come with it, the microfiber little towels,
Well, it's
because
because they have their own for
that
30
would give it
bucks.
away. And we buy way too many. We'd go through them like, crazy. So we buy it in bulk and use our own microfiber towels. But he said this stuff is really good. So I ordered it. Amazon was kind enough to have it on my doorstep the next morning. And I'll just simply say that it lives up to all the hype.
Nice.
I use it, I keep a little tiny, it comes in a little tiny, like pencil-like bottle for purses or glove boxes or whatever. It's about as big as your index finger and
Okay.
about as long. Just a little bottle with a little squirt spray thing on the top. I keep it in there to keep that monstrous display in the BMW clean.
Yep.
I keep one here at the desk, and the difference that I think I notice with this and other cleaners, you're supposed to use very little of it, spray it on the rag itself first, or the microfiber towel, and then gently wipe the screen. And that's it. I mean, you don't have to rub, or it's just gone. It's literally gone.
Can you
No
use
trace of
this?
having been cleaned except it's spotless.
So you can use this on, because I know that
Anything.
even the well, they tell you that for the nano textured screens on your,
Oh, yeah,
you know,
yeah. I didn't. Yeah, go ahead.
that you shouldn't use anything else other than a microfiber cloth and water. All right. Can you
But
use
you
push
can
on those?
use this.
Say again?
You can use this if you're gentle.
Okay.
That's what the Apple Store uses. So I
Okay.
figure
Well,
they use it
because
on their nano
right,
textured
because I was
screens.
worried about the nano
Yeah,
textured
the
screens.
hard part about that is people wipe too hard and they
They'll damage the
smear
screen.
the finish, permanently. That's the
Yeah.
problem.
But
So,
any other, I know even on my non-nano textured screens, right, which would mean my iPhone or my Mac, my MacBook Pro or my MacBook Air, that I have an issue or a problem, and I wipe it with like regular glass cleaner, you get all
It
kinds of
smears.
streaks and it smears
right.
Yeah.
and it doesn't look
This
right.
absolutely doesn't smear. And I've used it on my OLED LG TVs.
Yeah,
It's amazing stuff. It's one of those few things that, I mean, I really would recommend this to anybody.
right.
It's,
So right now, if you click the link in the show notes, it takes you to an Amazon link. It's
yeah, I didn't put a
17.
price on it because
It,
they have so many
right,
different shape sizes and package bundles, and you want a big bottle and a little bottle, or you want two little bottles and one big bottle,
right,
and
right. So
pick your poison here as far as the
right,
size goes. But
right. I think it starts at $18,
$8.
$18, 17.99.
$8.99 will get you one rag, one little pad, and the little
The
handheld
little
one.
schwitzy, the little
8.99.
pencil sized,
Yep.
index finger sized thing, which is
That's a
cool.
handy size to have, and since it's so easily refillable, it's a good
Hmm.
deal.
And they have 32.1 fluid ounce of bottles of this.
Yep.
And I think that's the biggest one that I saw.
And that's the one you use to fill all the little ones.
Right. And it's $25.
I
They
mean, it's not
also they
you
also have
can
the a nice big sort of 90 count touchscreen wipes,
right.
right? For $16, which I
If
thought
you
was
just want to spend a little more, just have the convenience of wipe it, throw it away,
yep, yep.
But I can't say enough good about it. I really cannot.
Hmm.
And
This is awesome. They've got a 16.9 fluid ounce refillable bottle for 20
yeah,
bucks. All right. Um, so this is fabulous. Love this. Love it.
it really is this good. It really is.
All right.
All
So
right,
we're gonna
that's it.
try it.
We're gonna give it a go and we'll see how it works. But that's your pick and it's called Whoosh.
Whoosh.
So there you go. All right.
Kind
Well,
of like the
that's
sound our show makes at the end.
yes, whoosh. And that, kids, is the end of the show.
There you go.
In the iTechGear Weekly, episode number 142. Again, sort of
Yeah.
recorded live Sunday,
Mhm.
August 17th, 2025, live from iTechGear Central. As I said, I'm Christopher Spera. And for Mr. Chris Gavula, Brother Joe McLaughlin, and Dr. Mr. Larry McJunkin, I want to say we will see you next time.